I think the first thing is to learn. Every time you learn, you make new connections in your brain, and learning is making those connections. And I was joking with my staff this week. I said, nobody reads anymore. Nobody reads. Nobody reads anything. Learn information. Why? Because we found out that in our events, if you can be present and not look at your cell phone or not talk about your past, but be present with the content, and I can combine quantum physics with neuroscience, with neuroendocrinology, with psychoneuroimmunology, mind-body connection, epigenetics, electromagnetism, you can really get it. Like, you can give me the nod, and then I say, okay, I'm looking at an audience of 1,500, 1,600 people. Okay, well, turn to the person next to you and teach it back to them. If you can't explain that, it's not wired in your brain, and you'll doubt that it's possible, and you'll do something differently. Okay, if you can explain it, then you're causing your brain to fire in new sequences and new patterns and new combinations. Whenever you make your brain work differently, you're changing your mind. Why? Because mind is the brain in action. So you keep reminding yourself of this. Now it's easier to forget this than remember it. It takes practice. You can't get it in one bite. It's a learning process, right? So now you're installing the neurological hardware in your brain in preparation for the experience. So knowledge is the precursor to the experience, right? Without the knowledge and the information, it's conjecturous, right? So the more you understand the what in the terms of what you're doing and the why you're doing it, the application, the practical aspect, the how becomes exciting, like, oh, I'm going to get it. As an example, you can take someone and throw them in an ice bath. We have no knowledge of what that can do, and then because they have no knowledge, the ice bath is actually going to cause them harm. Right? You take that person, you can teach them a few things and put them in an ice bath, and it'll actually be instrumental. It'll actually gain value from it. Well, the prefrontal cortex, the one that said, now you got to make this valuable. You can take a person and you can put them in an environment, and they can perceive the environment as a problem, and you can measure their autonomic response, and it'll weaken their autonomic response. You can take that person and have them perceive it as a challenge, and it'll actually strengthen their autonomic response. Okay, so now what's the reason behind this? Well, you gotta put as much tension on your inner world of how you're thinking and how you're feeling and how you're gonna behave, as much as your outer world of three-dimensional reality. And meditation is just a way to say, okay, let me get my brain and body right. I'm going to present Ed Milet to the world today. I got one lifetime, one Groundhog Day, one day. I just want something different, something unusual, something mystical, some sign from the universe that I created. And I wanted to come in a way that I would never think of. That would be the unknown, because if I could predict it, it's the known. Okay, before I get up and grab my phone and do all my things and get plugged back into my known world, let me just say, okay, who do I no longer want to be? I want to become so conscious that I won't go unconscious again. The fundamental question is, how many times am I going to forget until I stop forgetting and start remembering? That is the moment. There's nothing mystical about this. This is the work. And then you're going to say, okay, who do I want to be when I open my eyes? Okay, let me think about this. How would greatness live? I don't know. Read a book on greatness. Read a book on Nelson Mandela. You want to be wealthy? Read about wealthy people, and you're going to see that they didn't just make their wealth. They lost a ton of money and failed a million times. And that's reality. Okay, well, what were the qualities? They had perseverance. They had determination. They cut their losses. They forgave. They forgot about it. They went on. Okay, so how am I going to behave? Let me rehearse how I'm going to behave. What I'm going to do, let me take my time. I have plenty of time to do this. Let me just behave. Let me think about how I'm going to behave differently in this situation. How am I going to change my emotional response? When did I fall from grace yesterday and went back to my old self? I'll set an alarm on my phone every 3 hours. I'm just going to go off, and I'm going to take a moment and get back into the feelings of my future. Okay? If I can do that over and over again, well, what do you think could happen in my life as a result of it? So, knowledge being the forerunner, the application, simple stuff. Practice heart coherence. There's plenty of stuff that we can talk about. Practice brain coherence. We know. I asked the brain scientists, what percentage of people at the end of a week-long event, what percentage of people will have their brains changed for the better? They said 100%, 100%, 1 week. Fully immersed into the experience. You practice it every day. Now, you can't do it once or twice and say, why isn't my bank account full? You know what I'm going to tell you? You're not that good. Yeah. That's the only reason why. Yeah. If you were that good, it would happen. You're not that good, so show up again. and show up again and keep showing up. And I just was talking to a staff member today. The universe only gives us what we think we're worthy of receiving, right? So then people who show up for themselves every day,
believe they're worthy.
They start feeling pretty damn worthy.
Yeah.
Like they're like, I'm worthy for this. Not like an entitlement way, like something. They just like, I feel like it's gonna happen. I'm worthy for it.